The Immortal John Hancock here, and today I'm doing a Sega Genesis ranking video. It's been a few months since I did my last one, and I had a lot of positive comments from the two that I did. The link will be below for those. And today I'm going to be talking about one of my favorite companies on Sega Genesis, Konami. Konami made 15 games for the Sega Genesis. I have 14 physical, and there was one released overseas, and I'm going to talk about that one as well. So in today's video, I'm going to be looking at these 15 games and ranking S through F, and going to be telling you what games I liked and what games that I think were just so-so. And if you want to rank these, there'll be a link below where you can rank all 15 of these games and post the results for yourself. All right, without further ado, let's check it out. The first game I'm going to be talking about is Anininiacs, and this is a great platformer. It's got kind of a unique control scheme in which you have 3 different characters, and you choose which character, and they have different abilities. It's a great little platformer. It is rather short though, but it has great level design, and I'm going to give this one a B. If you're a fan of the series, definitely check this one out. Next up, one of my favorite Castlevanias of all time, and it is a Sega Genesis one, and that's Castlevania Bloodlines. I thought that this was really kind of a pinnacle of what Konami could do on the 16-bit platform, and I love the level design. I love the gameplay. It's got great graphics. The color palette is a little off, but you know, when it comes down to it, this is a great 2D Castlevania, and if you haven't checked it out, it's definitely well worth it. It's also on the Castlevania collection, which has been released on modern consoles. Definitely worth a look, and I give this one an S. I really like it, and I think it's fantastic. All right, this next one is very, very challenging, and that's Contra Hardcore. And I think it's a great run and gun. It is very challenging, different characters. The biggest thing with this game is how difficult it is. It's really challenging. But, you know, aside from that, some people actually might be attracted to this game because of how challenging it is. What I've played, I really do like. I'm going to give this an A. Konami dabbled with sports games back in the day, and they did make a double dribble for the Sega Genesis, the playoff edition. And you know, this is not my favorite double dribble. I grew up with the original on the NES, and I don't think that this captures the essence of that. I think it's got great colorful graphics. I love that you can have 8 players on this. Now, if 8 players can play this, I think it may add a grade, but for me, just playing it, even if I was playing with a buddy, I'm going to be picking NBA Jam or Tournament Edition, or I'm going to pick some other arcade style sports game over this. I thought this was just average, and I give it a C. You don't have real teams. The gameplay is just kind of so-so. Graphics and music and everything are above average, but everything else kind of falls short. This next one I do not have, and that's International Superstar Soccer Deluxe. And this was a fantastic soccer game, and it kind of was more of an arcade take versus FIFA. And so I have not really experienced a ton of this. So I'm just going to give a grade based on what I've played so far. It has several teams to choose from. It's got kind of the isometric view, has great gameplay. The sprites are larger than FIFA. And so, you know, what I've played so far, I'm going to give this one a B. I saw that Factor 5 was involved, and it's definitely one I would like to play more. It has a great arcade feel to it, and I know this is a long-standing soccer franchise to this day, but, you know, going back, you know, ISS Soccer Deluxe, which was a sequel to the Super Nintendo one, I do believe, back in the day, and one of the better Konami sports games on the 16-bit era to check out. This next one is a shooter, and there was a sequel as well. And, you know, I had more experience playing this on the Sega CD, and so a lot of my experience was with that version. So going back and playing Lethal Enforcers, you know, it's definitely worth noting that you must play this game with a gun, and so that has limitations, especially with modern television sets. I know there's some workarounds of that, but seriously, Lethal Enforcers is a decent gun game. And if you are a light gun fan, then definitely check it out that way. You can use your control pad on this game, and I found it near impossible to play. I think it's decent. I don't think it's above average. I don't think it's fancy. I think it's kind of dated, and I give this a C. What I liked a little bit more was the sequel, and I don't know if it's because of the Western setting or the different power-ups, but I think they did a better job with Lethal Enforcers 2 Gunfighters. And so I thought the follow-up was a little bit better, and definitely if you're going to pick between one or the other, I definitely would go with this. Make sure that you play it with the light gun though, because that control pad way of playing, to me, was not fun whatsoever. I did not enjoy it, and the reaction time is definitely something that I found that was just a little bit challenging, too challenging to play. One of the best platformers on the Sega Genesis, and that's Rocket Knight Adventures. This is an amazing game with a cool gimmick of using a rocket pack to maneuver around huge animated levels, great design, great boss fights. I really, really enjoy this game, and I think it's one of the best side-scrolling platformers on the console. Yes, you heard me right. And so many people have commented on previous videos about this game, saying it's one of their favorites, and I agree. It's one of my favorites as well. This gets an S. Now, let's talk about the follow-up, Rocket Knight Adventures 2, and that's Sparkster. And so this sequel to Rocket Knight Adventures kind of changes things up. It changes how you control the rocket pack. I thought the levels were a little bit limited, and as well as kind of a step down when it comes in terms of level design. I still think this is a great game. I still think it's a good game, but I don't think it's as good as the original. So I'm going to give this a B. Here is a series of games coming up, and this is a tough one because you're going to have opinions about this if you've played the Super Nintendo counterpart to some of these games. Now, you're going to have your different rating on some of these. This is just what I'm going to give them because I have played the Super Nintendo ones, and in a lot of ways, I've played the Super Nintendo versions of some of these games more. All right, first up is Sunset Riders. Now, a lot of people have different opinions about this version of the game. It is less censored, okay? It is limited, I think, on level design, though. They took out things, they added things. There's only 2 characters to choose from. Some of the graphics are different versus the Super Nintendo. At the end of the day, this is a good game. It is fairly short, even though the arcade game is short as well. I'm going to give Sunset Riders a B. Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, the Hyperstone Heist. You know, this is kind of a variation of Turtles in Time, but they share some similarities. And, you know, with the Genesis one being kind of the inferior one, in my opinion. Now, it's not a bad game. I love myself some brawlers and hack and slash, and this is a really good game. Now, is it perfect? No. Is it really good for Sega Genesis? Yes. And, you know, it is fairly different to the point if you haven't played Hyperstone Heist and you've played Turtles in Time, the arcade, or the Super Nintendo version, it's definitely worth going back and checking this out. There is several differences with it. There's a lot of omissions. There's some additional stuff added. But at the end of the day, I'm going to give this a B. Here's another Turtles game, and unfortunately, this is kind of a dud in my opinion, and that's Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Tournament Fighters. Now, this is significantly different than the Super Nintendo release, and I think the Super Nintendo release is better in every way. There's only 2 action buttons in this game. I didn't like the character design. I thought that the gameplay was a little clunky. I really don't like this game. I've really tried to go back and play this game over and over, and every time I have the same conclusion. I don't like this version of the game. Even went back and played the Super Nintendo one just to kind of compare, and hands down, no comparison. This is a D. This is ACME All-Stars. It's kind of a mini sports collection of basketball and soccer, and I think this is a fun, cute game. Am I going to play this for a sports game? There's so many sports options out there for 16-bit generations. No. But did they do a good job with licensing this and making a decent sports game? Yes. Would I play it versus other games out there? No. But it's a 4-player, and if you're a fan of Tiny Toons, this is a decent title. I'm going to personally give it a C. One game I liked better than that was Tiny Toon's Buster's Hidden Treasure. I think this is a good platformer, and I put it on par with Animaniacs. Lots of different levels, just kind of an overworld. I thought it had good gameplay, kind of remind me of kind of a Sonic style gameplay a little bit. And you know, it's well done for a licensed platformer. There was a ton of platformers out there. I probably would pick something over this, but I'm gonna give this a B. I think it's solid. Last and definitely not least is yet another game that was on Super Nintendo. Although this one is the inferior version, I love this game, and that's Zombies Ate My Neighbors. This is a fantastic game. I know several out there would say this is one of their favorites on the Sega Genesis, especially one to play around Halloween. And this is a great game, 2-player options. The Super Nintendo has a little bit better animation and graphics, and some of the layout is a little bit better, but this is still a wonderful game to play on a Sega Genesis. I played it back in the day on the Sega Genesis, and I'm going to give this an A. That's my rankings for Konami Sega Genesis games. What are yours? I would love to hear your feedback and comment below. Thank you so much for your ongoing support. Make sure to hit that like and subscribe button and click the bell as I'm uploading videos every week. You folks are wonderful and beautiful. Thank you for the ongoing support. This is the immortal John Hancock, and you take care.